1923 is over, and we still don't know how Tiana Rainwater connects to Yellowstone's Dutton family. Tiana Rainwater's Amina Neves story never connected to the Duttons in 1923, even though the show is over. Since the beginning, the cast of 1923 has been split in two, telling two almost completely unconnected stories. The main focus of the show was on the Dutton family tree, their battle for the Yellowstone Ranch, and Alexandra's, Julia Schlapfer, and Spencer's, Brandon Sklenar, journeys home. The other half has focused on Tiana's harrowing experience with a Native American boarding school and the many injustices she faced from people like Father Renaud, Sebastian Rocha, and Marshall Kent, Jamie McShane. For the longest time, it seemed like Tiana's story would intersect with the Duttons at some point. Tiana is, after all, an ancestor of Thomas Rainwater, Gil Birmingham, in Yellowstone, and 1923 is a prequel series meant to show how all of Yellowstone's parts fell into place. Another Yellowstone spin-off show, 1883, ended with Spotted Eagle, Graham Greene, telling James Dutton, Tim McGraw, that his family would lose the ranch in 7 generations. However, the ending of 1923 Season 2 didn't have such a connection, and Tiana's story never brought her in contact with any Duttons at all. As the ending of 1923 already showed, Tiana's journey from Montana to Texas never intersected with the Duttons. There was a close call where Tiana almost met Spencer while he was traveling through Texas, but they never actually saw each other. Really, the only connection between Tiana and the Duttons at all in 1923 was Marshall Mamie Fawcett, Jennifer Carpenter, as the law woman had both Tiana and Spencer in her custody at different times. That's still a full degree of separation, though, and for all we know, Tiana doesn't even know who the Duttons are. There wasn't even a hint that Tiana would eventually interact with the Duttons after 1923. Once Tiana's trial was finished, and she was a free woman again, 2 Spears, Dudgy Hall, sent her off to California, not Montana. Without Pete Plentyclouds, Jeremy Ghana, and runs his horse, Michael Spears, Tiana has no reason to go back to Montana either. Aside from knowing that Tiana's descendant would eventually be important, her entire story in 1923 was an unrelated story that had no connective tissue to the Duttons. Even though 1923 is over, there is still a chance for Taylor Sheridan to connect Tiana's story to the Duttons. One of the many upcoming Yellowstone spin-off shows, aptly titled 1944, could revisit the Rainwater family's connection to the Duttons. 1944 takes place just 20 years after the ending of 1923, which is both close enough for Tiana to still be around and distant enough for her to have a reason to return to Montana. It may take an entirely separate show, but 1944 could easily tie Tiana to the main story of 1923. There's also a chance that Tiana's story won't directly connect to the Duttons in 1944. Tiana has to continue the Rainwater lineage and have a child at some point. Otherwise, Thomas wouldn't be around in Yellowstone. 1944 could follow Tiana's child as they return to Montana and their ancestral home, which would provide an opportunity for them to meet some of the Duttons. It would also be a chance to flesh out the Rainwater family tree a bit more and give Tiana some closure after her traumatizing journey in 1923. After an emotionally gut-wrenching and beautifully shot season, 1923 has wrapped, leaving behind more questions than answers, and none more puzzling than the mystery of Tiana Rainwater. While audiences have followed her harrowing journey through pain, survival, and resistance, there's still a glaring omission in Taylor Sheridan's sweeping Western tapestry. How does Tiana connect to the Duttons? Or, perhaps more tantalizingly, does she even need to? By the end of 1923, Tiana Rainwater's arc stands out as one of the most powerful in the series. While the Duttons are embroiled in land wars, political power struggles, and transatlantic romances, Tiana's story is one of cultural genocide, brutality, and the quiet, fiery spirit of survival. Her narrative is a searing indictment of the treatment of Native Americans in early 20th century America. But what lingers in fans' minds is the surname, Rainwater. That's no casual choice. Longtime fans of the Yellowstone universe immediately recognized the name when Tiana was introduced. Rainwater is the surname of Chief Thomas Rainwater, the modern-day chairman of the Broken Rock Reservation in Yellowstone. Portrayed by Gil Birmingham, Chief Rainwater is a strong-willed, strategic, and often enigmatic figure who sees the Duttons as both obstacle and mirror. They're fighting for land, legacy, and survival, just like him. So when Tiana Rainwater emerged in 1923, viewers leaned in, expecting a clear path from her to Thomas. But the path remains unled. The lack of a direct connection feels intentional, almost like Sheridan is toying with time itself. Tiana's story is set in the same world as the Duttons, but follows an entirely different rhythm. She isn't in Montana fighting cattle thieves. She's in the deserts and plains of the West, escaping a boarding school that tried to erase her identity. Her battles are more primal, more human, and, frankly, more urgent. Every step she takes is survival. Every person she trusts is a risk. Every glimpse of hope is a rebellion against annihilation. Still, there are clues, or at least what feel like breadcrumbs. Could Tiana be Thomas Rainwater's grandmother or great-grandmother? The math might fit, depending on how far we jump from 1923 to present-day Yellowstone. But Sheridan has never been one to offer clean family trees or simple origin stories. If Tiana is an ancestor of Thomas, it's a connection forged not in bloodlines alone, but in ideology and trauma, in the resilience passed from one generation to the next. Maybe it's not about surnames at all. Maybe Rainwater is a chosen name, a reclaimed identity. Perhaps Thomas took it to honor a woman like Tiana, whose story was nearly lost to history. That possibility opens the door to even richer storytelling, one where names carry power, not because of lineage, but because of legacy. Sheridan's world is obsessed with who gets to write history and who gets left out. Tiana might be the silent ink in the margins, screaming to be seen. Another theory fans toss around is that the Duttons and Rainwaters are destined to collide again, not in gunfire or courtrooms, but through shared heritage. Could Tiana have a child with someone connected to the Dutton Ranch? It's far-fetched, but nothing's impossible in this world. We've already seen that the Dutton family line isn't always straightforward. Illegitimate children, surprise cousins, and lost love stories are par for the course. But even more compelling than her potential blood ties to the Duttons is the thematic bridge Tiana builds between 1923 and Yellowstone. Her existence reminds viewers that while the Duttons see themselves as the original stewards of the land, they're not. People like Tiana were here long before the first fence went up. Her story is a stark reminder of the cost of the Duttons' American dream, a cost paid by girls like her, families like hers, and cultures that were nearly erased in the name of manifest destiny. Sheridan may be deliberately keeping the connection vague because he doesn't want to reduce Tiana to a mere branch on someone else's family tree. Her journey, brutal, rich, and deeply moving, deserves more than to simply serve another family's arc. If Tiana Rainwater is to be remembered, it should be for her own battles, not for her bloodline. Still, the craving for answers persists. We want to know if Thomas Rainwater carries Tiana's DNA in his veins. We want to know if her son, should she have one, grows up to fight for the land the way she did, with cunning and grace. We want to know if that ferocity, that quiet rage, passed down through time, helped shape the man who now sits across from John Dutton in a modern-day standoff over stolen land. We want to know because 1923 didn't just introduce us to Tina Rainwater. It made us root for her, cry for her, rage with her, and now we want to see her echo forward. So yes, 1923 is over, and we still don't know how Tiana Rainwater connects to the Duttons. But maybe that's the point. Maybe her connection isn't something to be charted on a family tree. Maybe it's something felt, a thread woven into the spirit of the land. A reminder that not all stories belong to dynasties and cattle ranches. Some stories belong to the earth itself, and Tiana Rainwater is one of them. In the world of Yellowstone, bloodlines matter. But legacy, that's a whole different kind of power.